Hello guys, well today we're going to take a look at the Peterbilt truck and hopefully start the conversion. My original thought was just to put one of these little control boards into it, give it drive and steering and do nothing else. But the more I look at it, I kind of want to add lights to it now. So what I think I'll do is I'll put two of the 5mm super bright white LEDs here, maybe another two here and two orange LEDs there. Because when you look at the cab, you've loads of space in there, so why not use it up? At the back, we're going to be replacing this thing anyway because we want to put our tow hitch on it. But when I do that, I'll just leave the little, I'm going to 3D print a little grey piece here that'll fit in there. And when I do that, I'll just leave this a little bit wider so that I can put indicators, maybe reverse lights, but tail lights as well. So we'll have red, white and orange lights on the back hopefully. Then obviously, like I said in the last one, we'll be getting rid of the dump truck part, making a kind of a flatbed piece, so I'll have to 3D print that. That'll come out along here. I've just been looking at pictures of flatbed Peterbilt 379 trucks online, so just going to try and copy that if I can. And I think that's pretty much it. I possibly will drill a couple of holes in these little plastic things if they're hollow. If they're solid bits of plastic, I'll not be doing that, but if they're hollow, I might drill just a little hole in the front and put like a green LED up the top so you can just kind of see that little bit of light coming out there. Maybe that'll look alright. But that's the plan. First thing to do anyway is take it apart, see what the electronics are like in it, and well, see how we're going to fit our own in, I suppose. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to take a look at is this little piece here. So what I'm going to do is 3D print this flat piece so I can screw it on. I'll 3D print two little offcuts here and these little sections. I won't 3D print these. Instead, what I'm planning to do is glue a little bit of rubber down the back of them so that they might look a little better than these hard plastic pieces. Then I'll 3D print my tow bar section out of it. So we should just bolt that on. We'd get the bit that we can screw our lights into. We'd have the bit with the tow bar on it so we can hook up to a trailer. And hopefully some more realistic kind of flaps on the rear of the mud guards there. So that's the first piece. Next I'm going to try and remove the flatbed, and I think when you take off the battery cover, it's these 4 screws here. They look to be the only ones holding it on. There is well, what looks like I don't know what you'd call them, little posts for the screws on the back, but it doesn't look like there's screws in them. So I'll try these first 4 and we'll see does the bed come off. Well, it might have looked like there wasn't 2 screws at the back, but there definitely is. So that means we need to take the cover off the motor here. So kind of didn't want to do that because I didn't want to really disturb the motor, but I suppose it'll give us a chance to see what the motor actually looks like. So let's take a look at that. So here's the cover off the motor. It's a nice tidy little motor and gearbox here. So quite like that. It's all in its one little contained unit. I thought I needed to get the switch off. Well, actually, until I unscrewed the switch, the motor didn't come out, so something must have been holding a wire there or something. So that's the motor. When you lift it up, there is actually no screws in there at all. So what I've discovered is you just need to slide back the bed to get it off. So that's all that's involved there. But anyway, once I took off the cover, I kind of remembered that I wanted to cut this axle and get these two pairs of wheels rolling separately so that maybe it would improve the steering. I'm not sure if it will or not because we still have the solid rear axle, but it might help things slightly. Looks like whatever I'm going to put in here is going to have to be pretty narrow to fit in beside the switch, so that's another little job that'll have to be done. Alright, well, splitting the axle wasn't too difficult. All I did was remove the little pin, just being careful not to crack the wheels, which is actually very easy to do with those press fit kind of axles. But I got them out without breaking the wheels, and then I just screwed into M3 bolts which happen to fit the little spacers here, the little holes. So now the only thing about this is because there's no solid axle anymore, there's a good chance these wheels are going to kind of wobble about like that. But I think that's going to be alright because the solid axle is going to hold it off the ground anyway. So I mean, it's going to be supported between here and here. So what these wheels do really doesn't actually matter, I don't think. They're just going to kind of float about there. So I think it's going to be alright. I had to shave a little bit off the motor just in case anyone's going to be doing this themselves. I just shaved a little bit off with a knife, just a couple of little peelings of the plastic. The other thing I noticed is when I put this cover back on, there's going to be pretty much no room here for the wires from any lights to come back, so I'm going to have to run the wires under the bed if the truck come back through here or something, but that's no big deal really. All the wires from the motor and the switch here are coming back on a ribbon cable, so we'll just intercept them up at the cab there. That should be fine as well. So I think the next thing we'll look at is the cab. The next bit you need to take off is the steering rack, and that uncovers the little screw here that's going to release the cab for us. So screw this out at the front and then the cab kind of hinges off. So now we're into the cab. You can see the little speaker there that was making all the noise, and we have a single PCB that basically controls everything. We have our motor wires here for the steering motor. These are the 5 wires coming from the back, so it'll be 2 for the motor, a ground, and then the switch, I guess. Although I don't know why there's 5 wires coming back there. Surely there should only be 1 voltage. It's a bit strange. We'll have to look into that, figure that out. Then you have your 1 wire here going to your little antenna, and that is pretty much it. So I can take all this apart because I obviously don't want this little control board, and I don't want that antenna. I'll not just throw out the speaker yet because I might reuse that. I think I have a little soundboard that I bought a few years ago to kind of show you how to add sound to a model, but I never actually got it working, or well, I never tried, so maybe this is the opportunity to test that idea out. Get rid of our antenna here, we don't need that. And that's it, that's our little control board removed. On the PCB here it says V plus, VCC, FB and ground. So F and B are going to be the motor wires. V plus I presume is the positive of the batteries, and VCC, does that suggest that there's a regulator back there? Maybe there is. There was some components under heat shrink. I thought they were inductors, but maybe it's a regulator. One way we can find out is just to probe those voltages. So I'm hooked up to my multimeter now. Here is the VCC pin, and the voltage is 5.29 volts. Sorry, that's the V plus pin. So if we go to VCC then, 5.29, so it's the same voltage. I don't see any difference there, so I seriously doubt that's regulated. Of course I won't actually be using the them AA batteries. I'll be putting in a 3.7 volt battery, the same as everything else, so it's kind of irrelevant anyway. We're not going to be using it. When you look at the steering mechanism here, you can see it's the usual kind of very simple kind of mechanism. You have your little motor, just a very simple gearbox, and then a spring on this side. Maybe you can't see that, but in there is a little spring. I have to get the light. So there you can see the little spring. You see it moving in there. That's what returns the steering to the central position. So what I want to do is get rid of this motor mechanism and put in a little servo in there. Maybe I'll be able to get it to steer a little bit sharper than this as well and improve our steering a little bit further. But to be honest, it's probably going about as far as it can. If we go much further, the wheels will be rubbing on the kind of housing of the steering, so maybe it's as good as it's going to get, but we'll take a look at it anyway. I can see under the cab there that those little silver things on the top, they might be hollow. Well, you can see a little bit of hollow there, so maybe our idea to shine the green light up through it will work. The only way to find out is to give it a go, I suppose. Sure, if we damage them, we'll just replace them with something else. It's not that big of a deal if we break them. Okay, well, this job has turned into a slightly bigger challenge than I had expected, so I think I'll leave this video here, and in the next one I think I'm going to tackle the LEDs on the cab first, so I think that'll be the next video. Then I'll probably do one where I switch out the gearbox in this for a servo and get the drivetrain kind of working right, and then I think it'll just be a matter of putting it all back together, adding our 3D printed bed, 3D printed rear section, So don't forget to keep an eye on the channel for the next video in this installment, and if you have any comments or suggestions, let me know below the video or let me know in the forum. But that's pretty much it for today, so thanks very much for watching.